Welcome to today's program on Google Drive. My name is Jamie. I also have Meredith with me in today's program. Okay, I think we are ready to get started. So before we actually dive into what Google Drive is, I just want to take a moment to ask you, have you had an opportunity to work with Google Drive? And if so, what do you primarily use it for? And feel free to drop that answer into the chat so that we can get an idea of what kind of experience we have. All right, Meredith, if you would be so kind as to summarize what we're looking at.
Absolutely. So it looks like we've got a couple of people who have had just a little bit of experience, but most are new to this and we have some looking for transferring large files, and yeah, we'll go from there.
All right, so I'm going to switch this window open to actually look at Google Drive. So the most important question for us to start with answering is, what is Google Drive? It is an online system that lets you store files for easy access from any desktop or mobile device with internet access. So basically what you can do with this is use it kind of like you would a flash drive. You can store your files and take them with you wherever you go, provided that you have that internet access. The one tiny thing that you will need to be able to use it is a Google account, which will be completely free. So once you've set up a Google account, you'll be able to access Drive and all of the different features such as Google Docs or Google Sheets through that. Your files are going to open either in the web or through the mobile app, depending on what you're using. For today's purposes, we're going to be using the desktop version just because that's what I have easy access to. Most of what we do today will look very similar in the app, but if you run into specific questions with that, you can always send us an email or set up a virtual book a librarian session to actually go through what it might look like on your device. Another great feature about Google Drive is that it's going to also let you open non-Google formats as well. So a lot of what we're talking about today will be things that we've actually made in our Drive, but if you have things that you've made in Word that you want to upload and use, you can do that as well, and we're going to walk you through what that looks like. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is how to actually upload and store your files. So we're going to assume at this point that you have something on your computer that maybe you want to upload and share. That's going to be really, really simple. What you'll see in the top left-hand corner is this new button. You'll do new, and then you can either do file upload or folder upload. The difference between those is going to be with a file upload, you're uploading just an individual file. If you're doing a folder, you can do a whole batch of things at once. Once I do file upload on here, what you'll see is that it opens up a window with all the different documents on your PC. You can easily go to one of them, hit open, and it will start uploading that item. And you will see it show up in your Google Drive as something that you've uploaded. The process will look exactly the same if you were doing an entire folder worth of content as well. The difference being, instead of doing file upload, you'll just go to folder upload instead. Now, if you are comfortable with using your computer, you also have the option to use the latest version of Chrome or Firefox and do a drag and drop to bring files into your Drive. That works just the same way. You'll still see this little file upload box that will show you the progress. And then once you see that little green check mark, it's done and ready to go. If you happen to be using the mobile app, you can upload as well. As long as you've downloaded that Google Drive app, you'll just go through a process of opening that app, hitting share, and then looking for Drive so that you can open that file in your Drive. All right, is everybody with me so far? Okay, so now that we have uploaded our files, we are probably going to want to view them and work with them in our Drive because We're using this system to be able to move from computer to computer, working at home, to say going into the library to access a file. So how do we actually work with the files that we have? What you'll see across the top of your drive is a quick access that shows you things that you've opened recently. And those will change out depending on what you've had open a lot. So if you open the same document every single day, you're gonna see that on your quick access a lot. But if you open a lot of different documents, that may change, and what it looks like one week may look different the next week. Your folders and your files will look the same underneath that every time. Google Drive defaults to putting your folders on top, and then they arrange there so you can see all of the folders, and then individual files that aren't part of a folder drop in underneath that. And you do have a couple of different ways that you can sort those. You can sort by name, by the date that you last modified them, or by the date that you opened them last. And you can really use whichever makes the most sense to you. I happen to prefer the view that we have on the screen here that has kind of the little preview windows, but you can also use this teeny tiny little list button up here in the top and change it to a list view if you're more comfortable with that format. And that's just going to show you your folders again, and then individual files underneath. Same sorting options are available. You can sort by the name, by your last modified date, and easily organize your information. Okay. Now, if I wanted to open one of the individual files, if I right-click on the file, I can hit preview, which will just give me an idea of what this document is. Right now, I'm not editing it at all. I'm not doing anything. I'm just taking a peek to see, oh, is this what I think it is? And I can easily hit the back arrow and go back to it. If I were to double click on that file, it will open up the file in a separate window, a separate tab here, so that I can actually edit and work with the document. When I close that window, I can go right back to my drive and be right back where I was.
And Jamie, we have a question. We have a attendee who would like to know, if you save on Google Drive, is it taking up space on your computer?
Google Drive is a cloud-based program. So once you've put it into the Google Drive, it's not taking up the space on your computer anymore, unless the file itself is still on your computer. So say, for example, I started a Word document on my computer and I saved it to my computer first, then it is taking up space on my computer. When I put it into Google Drive, it's taking up the storage space in Google Drive, and I can delete it off the computer and free up that space. What you'll see on the left side of your screen is a little storage window here that shows you how much space that you have available. You'll get the 15 gigabytes for free. If you'd like to, you also have the option to purchase additional storage space should you have the need for it. Does that answer your question?
I think that covers it. I'll let you know. Yes,
Okay.
yes, it did. You're good.
Wonderful. Do we have any other questions at this point?
Not right now.
Not right now. Okay. So I mentioned briefly a minute ago that you can upload a Google file, or you can upload, say, a Microsoft file and edit it. So the first one that I'm going to open up here, this is actually a Google Docs file. And you'll see across the top that it's a little Google Doc. It doesn't have a file extension name. It just has the name of the title. And we can see that we can easily edit everything in here. This is going to save automatically to the cloud anytime that I make a change with it. But let's say that I also have this Word document. And what you're going to notice when I open this, and please bear with me, it's being a tiny bit slow, it doesn't want to open for me, is it opens up this preview. So now I have the option of opening it in a way that I can actually edit. When I do open with, I can choose Google Docs on here. And this is going to open up a file that I can edit right here on my computer, even if I don't have Microsoft Word installed on it. You'll notice on here that it has the docx file extension. That's just letting us know that this is still in Microsoft Word format. So the changes that you're making are going to be to that Word document. Now, I do have to warn you, editing this way, you may run into some formatting things that don't carry over between the two formats. So do be aware as you're doing that, when you go back to open it up in Word again, it may look a little bit off and you may have to do some adjusting to make sure that it looks pretty. I also have the option to save this file as a Google Doc instead. So I can do File, Save as Google Doc, and what that's going to do is create a Google version of this file. And again, depending on what type of, say, charts or special fonts or formatting you have, it may not look exactly the same when you do this kind of transition over into the Google format. So you may have to spend some time tweaking it to make it look pretty. In this case, I was just using a standard font and a standard Word document, so everything transferred over pretty much exactly how it was. Now this will let me edit. I can type in it, I can save it. One thing to note about Google Drive is that it will save automatically as you're working. It's going to save into the cloud, so you don't have to worry about when was the last time I hit file save. It will tell you when your last edit was, and it will also tell you once I've typed something, you'll see this saving, and then it'll say save to drive. That lets you know that it's up to date in your drive. Now, one thing to point out about making this extra Google version of your file, you didn't lose your original file at all. So when you go back into your drive, that should be hopefully in this folder here. I now have the Google version of it, but I still have the Microsoft Word version of it as well. So if you're worried that you accidentally deleted something in converting your file, you didn't. You still have that original version that you can get back to.
All right, and we have two more questions. The first one is, can you download a file from Google Doc back to your PC?
Yes, we were just about to get to that. So let's go ahead and cover that really quick. So here I am in my Google Doc, and I want to open this somewhere else. All I have to do is do File, Download, and choose what format I want to download it in. So I can make it a Word document so that I can edit it, or I could choose to make it a PDF document if I don't want somebody else to be able to make changes to it. Those are going to be probably the two that you use the most often if you're using just documents. Just to give you an example, if you were doing something that is a spreadsheet, that's going to open in Google Sheets, which is basically the Google equivalent of Microsoft Excel. You'll see similar options once it loads, because again, it's feeling a little bit slow for me today. The difference being, we'll see the option to open this and download as a Microsoft Excel document or a PDF document as well. So that's going to be based on what type of file you're working with. But you will have that option. You also have the option in your Word version as well. You can still download and get back to that document.
And I've got another question for you. Basically, is there a reason why you'd want to go from a Word document to a Google Doc when you could technically edit the Word document in Google Docs?
That is really going to be a matter of personal preference and what you're using your documents for. So with the Google documents, you have a lot of options for sharing and editing and being able to collaborate with them that aren't as easy to do if it was to stay in the Microsoft Word format. But if you want that Microsoft Word format and you're the only one who's going to be in it, it's not a huge issue to keep it in a Word format either. It's really just a matter of how you want your document at the end of the day and what makes the most sense to you.
And we're good with that answer. Thank you.
Okay. So we've talked a little bit about opening the files and what they look like. So let's talk a little bit about actually organizing our files in our drive. So your Google Drive homepage is going to look a lot like, say, the My Computer window would look like if you were using a Windows-based computer, in that you can have folders with content, you can have individual files, and you can organize it basically however makes sense to you. So just like before we were uploading files, if we go back to new, we can choose to do a new folder. You can name your new folder whatever you want, and then it adds it into your list of folders. Then you can easily drag and drop different files into that folder so that you can organize things in ways that make sense to you. You can also use this new button to create new documents within Google if you wanted to. You can do a new Google Doc, a new Google Sheet, Google Slides, which is the Google equivalent of PowerPoint, or if you do more, you'll see the full complement of Google Apps in there as well. And once you do new, it'll open up your untitled document. You can rename it and you can start working. So if you're making it from your homepage, things are going to drop into your homepage, but if you were in one of your folders, you could make a new document within that folder and easily organize information that way as well. Now let's say that you have a lot of files and you have no idea where you put them. You can also search your drive to find what you're looking for, and you can say, I'm looking for my resume. It'll pull up some different recommendations for me, whether that's my file, whether that's my folder, but I can search and say, okay, and it will give me everything that it thinks is relevant to that search that I can pull up and find what I'm looking for. I can also limit this search to be able to say, I actually only want a document that was owned by me. It's not something that somebody else shared to me, and that will help filter that search and find less things. Let's go back to our drive. You also have the option, if you don't like looking at all your little tiles or your list of files, that you can use the navigation on the left-hand side to organize your drive as well. And you'll have your little drop-down arrow on the far left next to My Drive, and that's going to pull up your full list of folders. And you can use the little arrows next to them to see if there happen to be any subfolders within those folders. Because let's say I wanted to have a folder in my new folder, I wanted another folder that I put pictures into. I could make another folder for pictures and create it. And then I could add another folder and say that I want documents to go in there. And what you'll see is over here on my navigation menu, I can see that within new folder, I have these separate folders as well. And I can easily bounce up and down between them and see, okay, here's all the folders. You also have the option to use this navigation across the top, and you can click back to My Drive at any point and get back to where you were.
And we have a couple of questions to tack on here. So first one, which I think is more relevant to this particular point that we're at, is does the search look at the words inside the document or just the document names?
If I'm not mistaken, it does look at the words inside the document as well, but I'm not 100% sure on that one without doing a little bit more research.
It looks like inside for sure.
Yeah, it is.
And then the other question is, can you demonstrate dragging a file from one folder to another, or at least how you would move one from one to the other?
Sure thing. Okay, so let's say that we'll go back to my new folder and I'm going to put this into pictures, and I just realized, oh snap, that's not actually a picture. I want it in with a document. So what I can do is I can actually drag it along the side menu here and move it up into the documents folder. Or I could right click and go to move to, and it's going to open up a list of my folders. I use this little back arrow and I can see, oh, I want it to be in the new folder, or I want it to go back to my drive, and I actually wanted it in this children and technology folder, and I hit move and the file will move there as well. So either option. You can also do like a Control-C, Control-V with it if you're comfortable with keyboard shortcuts to move it, but those are going to be probably your two easiest ways, just kind of dragging through to move it where you'd like it. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Of course. Do we have any other questions at this point?
No, you've caught us up. Thank you.
Okay, so one thing I do want to point out is you also have the option for things. So let's say you're concerned that something won't always be at your quick access menu and you want to be sure that you can easily find it. You have the option to create what's called a starred file, and you'll see here on the left-hand side that you've got a starred menu. So when I right click and add to starred, anything that I've added to my starred will be right here for easy access all the time. It doesn't take it out of whatever folder or place that you've stored it on your drive. It's just basically creating that nice little shortcut for you that you can find it very quickly. So this is something that might be helpful to you while you're working on a project that maybe you've got several files in different folders and you want to be able to get to them quickly without having to sort through everything. You can star them for easy access, but still keep everything inside the folders and out of the way. I also, as far as organizing your files, neglected to talk about what happens if we need to delete something. So let's say that I no longer need this file. I can right click. I can, at this point, remove it from my start if I want to, or if I scroll all the way down, I can hit remove, which will delete the file. Or I can be selecting the file and hit delete, and it will also delete it that way. Now, at this point, you don't have to panic if you have accidentally deleted something that you still need. You can go back over here to your trash can, and you are able to see the files that you may have deleted. You can right-click on that file and hit restore, and it will return it back to where it was. So it is not completely gone. Now, if you start getting too many files in here and you are 100% sure that you're done with them, you can go back and say, okay, I don't need this at all, delete forever. Once you do that, it will be permanently deleted. You can't undo it. It will be gone. And you can clear up files that way. But if you get a little too delete happy and accidentally delete something, you can just drop over here to your trash and get it back. Google Drive will also give you some options for additional features that you can use. And these are just additional tools that are on your right-hand side. And they're normally collapsed over here, but they give you some more options for helping just organize your life. So you do have access to a calendar that you can go in and put different appointments or things that you need to get done. You've also got your little keep to take notes, so you can make notes of things that you need to do. and I can put it here, and then I can also say when I'm done with it, and it'll take it off the list. You can also do your task list and add different tasks. So these give you some different ways to organize additional things that you may be working on. So if you have a deadline that you need to send a document to someone, you can make a list of who you're sending it to, deadlines, things like that. And if you're done using these things, you can just use a little X here in the corner, and they'll just drop back over to the side out of the way. Your Google Drive will also give you access easily if you're making new documents to do Google Docs, Google Sheets, or you can use the little 9-circle grid up in the corner to get to different apps as well, that you can just easily link to them and see what else you may need to access. While you are signed in, as long as you stay signed in, you can switch back and forth between products without having to worry about signing in again. So I could easily pop over here and say, oh, I need to pull up my email. I can pop into my email and I don't have to worry about signing back into it because I'm already signed into my Drive. Okay. I also want to talk a little bit about sharing and collaborating with your files. So let's say that you are doing a project with someone and you need other people to be contributing to your document. So you can actually open up your files, and when you right click, you have some options for sharing. So when we hit share, it's going to pop up a separate window that asks us how we want to share the file. You can add people by just typing in their emails. And then as you add each person, it's going to ask you what kind of rights you want to give them. So you're going to have the option of viewer, commenter, and editor. Anyone that you name as a viewer can look at that document. They can open it up, but they can't do anything to it. If you've listed them as a commenter, they can add comments and suggestions, but you still have to approve the changes. If you list them as a full editor, they can go in and change and edit anything that they want to. Let's say that you don't know the email of the person that you want to send it to, and it would be easier for you to just send a link instead. You can use this get link, which will let you copy a link that you can easily paste into an email and send to someone. Just like with other sharing, you can choose if people can view, comment, or edit the link that you're sending them. So you can send it to someone just to take a look at, or you can send it to something for them to collaborate on. If you choose to do links, you don't have to go through share. You can also just go through get shareable link to be able to see where the link is. It opens up the same information about it. Okay. If you right click and do view details on your file, you can also see a preview of it. You can see the editors that you have, that you've shared. You can see the last time it was opened, and you can also go into the activity and see when people have been working in it. So it's very easy for you to go in and say, oh, okay, somebody's using this document, it's sharing well. I also have the option to go in and say that I don't want to share with anyone anymore, and I can remove someone who no longer needs access to the document. Excuse me. So those will give you different ways to collaborate on your files and easily share them with people who may need to do it. You may also have a situation where someone has shared a file with you that you're collaborating on. Those are going to show up in your Shared With Me menu, and you'll be able to see different documents that people have shared with you. You can open them up and work with them and easily access that information as well. How much you'll be able to do with those will depend on if the person who shared it with you made you an editor or just a viewer on it. Any questions on sharing so far?
So far, so good.
Okay, those were kind of
Sorry,
the...
one more popped up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if two people are trying to edit at the same time, is there any conflict in handling this?
So if you are editing a document that somebody else is editing, you will be able to see them at the same time that you are in the document. So you can see where somebody else is. And I don't think I have anything that I have somebody actually in at the moment. Meredith, do you have your Google Drive up? Let's see if it will let me. Open something that, of course, that doesn't have anybody in it. Okay. Trying to find something that somebody might actually be in to show you that is proving to be a tiny bit challenging, and that one doesn't have edit access. Okay, so basically what happens that I'm not able to recreate for you at the moment is you'll see little pictures across the top that let you know that other people are also in the document, and then you'll see a little cursor that shows you where they are. So you'll be able to see while you're typing together, and you would see if you were trying to type over someone because you could see where they were typing, if that makes sense. That's really kind of hard to explain without showing it to you. I'm sorry.
I do have the draft for the technical thing that we worked on. I could sign into that easily enough if you still got it.
Okay, so if I can find that folder.
Ooh, how about the VSS writing group responsibilities?
VSS writing group responsibilities. Okay, I'm going to open that and you're going to open that, and let's see if we can create some magic. Okay, so see how at the top we now have an anonymous alligator who is also here with me. That lets me know that somebody else is in this document, and depending on where they were, which of course I don't have edit access to this document, you could see where they were typing at.
Yeah, and basically it's simultaneous, so it's kind of a live collaborative working together situation. And Linda says that's pretty clear. She's got a good understanding of it.
Okay, good deal. That was a very long and complicated explanation for what should have been a simple answer. I'm sorry. Let's see, am I forgetting anything that we wanted to cover today? I think we've covered the main highlights of what Google Drive kind of looks like. Should you want to learn more about it, play around with it, Google does offer a Google Drive training from the G Suite Learning Center that you can access, and you can walk through step by step to see kind of what that looks like. Or there are some great courses on lynda.com, such as the Google Drive Essential Training, that will let you practice and play around with specific skills. Again, like we mentioned early on, if you start playing around in this and you have a lot of questions, you can also request a virtual book a librarian session, which will let you have some one-on-one help with a member of the library staff to actually address specific questions that you may have and work specifically with the technology that you're working with.
And we have one question on how can I move all of my documents from Google Drive to my computer. So basically downloading everything.
Downloading everything. Do you have a easy answer for that?
I believe you can highlight the entirety of your documents and do a download. And what it does is when you download more than one document at a time, it will put them in what's called a zip folder, which just helps download faster than if you were doing each file individually. And then you just have to make sure to unzip it after you're done. So hopefully Jamie can demonstrate that here with the downloading process.
We're hopefully zipping one. I did one that only has like one document in it to hopefully make it faster. But we'll see if it will behave
If it
itself.
proves a challenge on your computer, I've got a slightly faster internet, so I could possibly demonstrate that if you need.
It is thinking about it. So how I got there was just doing a right click and then download, which gives me the option. Beautiful. One file zipped. Now I just have to get to my downloads. Okay. Let's see if it worked successfully. Which, of course, it decided not to actually download for me. That was not very nice. Let's try that one more time and see.
And then we do also have interest in working offline.
There we go. Okay, I actually got this to download. So what you see down here in my downloads, it pops up and it says that it's a zip file. So what I will have to do is actually extract all, choose where I want to extract it to, and extract them. And now I can actually open up and get to all of those files. So you can easily download onto any computer and be able to access. Now keep in mind, if you download, the changes that you're making in Google Drive won't be made into your computer because you've downloaded the content. So you may need to re-download after you've finished, or you may need to re-upload your documents once you're done editing them to make sure that your most recent version is in your Google Drive. And Meredith, I'm going to let you handle the offline part.
Okay, so offline work is pretty simple. Let me see if I can get on here. See. And Jamie, are you going to give me
yes,
mouse
you
control?
should have control of my screen now.
Okay, so the first thing you have to do if you're wanting to work on any of your documents using the Google Apps but without internet access, you can do that. You just have to make sure to go into your settings to make sure that you have it turned on as an option. Let's see. So you want to make sure that this little box right here is checked, and that will allow for offline work. And you do need to have an extension to do it. So it looks like we don't have it on this particular computer. Let me see if I can switch to mine. I may have it on mine. I know it's the work computer. They're kind of picky about what we put on our computers. Let's see. I'm not sure how to switch over out of this now.
I can't give you access.
Here we go.
There we go.
It's like, how do I do this? Adventures in trying something new. Okay. Okay, let's see if mine will let me. It depends on what they've allowed us to download onto our computers. Like I said, they're very picky about that. Okay, good. I do have mine checked. So you'll have that checked when you have the extensions, and they're fairly easy to get. As you saw on Jamie's computer, there was a link to get to those. And then any document that you want to access offline, you'll just make sure to right-click on it to get your list of options, and then you would select Available Offline. And so it makes it available, and what it will do is every once in a while, it will sync with that offline file, and then you can work on it when you're not connected to the internet. Now you do need to have the apps available, so there are downloadable versions for desktops for the apps, for Google Docs, Google Sheets, all of those different ones. Or you can use a mobile device that has apps on it as well. So those are your options for that. And let me see, because this desktop doesn't have those apps, because again, like I said, they're very picky about what we download onto work computers, I cannot demonstrate what it looks like, but it's exactly the same setup for the docs that you would have in opening it in the browser when you're connected. So you'd still see the basic tools and all of that. And that's offline. Does anybody have any other questions, any topics that we didn't touch on that you'd be interested in seeing?
Okay, I do want to take just a minute to let you guys know if you have questions about Google Docs specifically or Google Sheets, so the Google equivalent of Word and Excel. We are offering 2 courses later this month that will go into those programs in more detail, that you'll be able to learn about the actual editing and creating documents using the templates and working with those files. So those will be later in the month. You can check out our programming calendar and sign up for those if you are interested as well.
And we did get a question about what G Suite is. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is basically the catch-all term for all Google apps that are available, much like Microsoft Office Suite is all of the Office apps like Word and Excel. And so when you see that, it's just referring to all of these things that you see available here when you click on that little Google Apps thing. You can see all of the apps that they have available in their marketplace. So you can click on that there and see just all the different available apps that they have through that. And that can get quite extensive. But your ones that are your go-to are going to always be found in the little grid view button up at the top here. So your basic Gmail, Drive, the calendar, as well as Docs, Sheets, and Slides, which are your Google versions of Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. All right, any final questions for us? Oh, did we mention the starred items? I can't remember now.
Yes, we did briefly.
Okay, good. I was answering a question at the time.
Now, should you come out of this class and realize 30 minutes from now that you have a question that you should have asked that just popped into your head, please do feel free to reach back out to us via email, via our web ref service, or via Virtual Book Librarian, and we're happy to keep answering your questions and share more information with you as needed. You can also give us a call at the library and talk to staff in person as well if you find that to be a better way to explain things. But with the Virtual Book Librarian service, we can also set up video appointments with you or phone conferences to give you some of that individualized attention as well.
Oh, and just a heads up, Google Drive is free, and what comes with that is the 15 gigabytes. If you do find that somehow you are using up all 15 of those gigabytes, which can happen if you're heavy on the images or videos, you can buy more, but it does cost money. So that is something to keep in mind, but you do get up to 15 gigabytes free in your storage with Google Drive.
Which does remind me of a good point that I did not make earlier. We talked a lot today about documents and spreadsheets, but Google Drive is compatible with uploading image files, PDFs, and other like music files should you need to save those as well.
Yes, in fact, I've got a few folders here that are examples of images. This is for my upcoming class at the end of the week for bullet journaling, a whole bunch of examples of pictures that I've uploaded. And you can just preview them. If you needed to do anything with them, you would have to download them because there's not a image editor in the Google suite of apps, but you can view them and slide through them in a slideshow style. So that's just an example of some stuff that is available. I think I also have music roaming around here. Ah, yeah, here, my music folder. I've got some kids' music from our stuff, and you can actually listen to it. It will play. Let's go surfing now. So you can listen to stuff off of your drive. It will depend on your internet connectivity. So if you have some spotty internet, you may not get the best music listening. Just keep that in mind. All right, well, thank you for joining us, everyone.
If you need more information, please do check out our website, planolibrary.org, or our blog, planolibrarylearns.org, where you can find more resources and information as well. Once again, thank you all for attending today's program and have a wonderful afternoon.